Today's idea is to try and put the fireworks in. You can see that. We're sticking with our British-made British Pyro. So we're going to try and put some fireworks in. It won't be quite a Union Jack, but that's the colour scheme. Excuse me for my attire today, as it's 37 degrees in some parts of the UK, which is just frankly ridiculous. Now I've lost my drum lid. Alright, so you can see I'm using an old dustbin lid here. That's just giving me an outline, something to work towards. Start getting some placements in there. Try to copy the sort of top line of colours out of the Union Jack. Laying the spots in and laying the tails for the fireworks in there. And you can see I've laid the colours in, and I overlay that with some of the explosions. And then what I'm doing is using several different radius pieces of card here. So this is my bigger radius for the further sprayed stars. And then you'll see in a second I get the tighter piece of radius card out. So I'll put some orange spots in there, in the middle of the explosions. And what I've got here is a cardboard tube. I think it's actually a toilet roll. I'm just laying some semicircles and some cones around the outsides of some of the other stars, and then I overlay that again with some more spray to add a bit of depth. And then I'm putting in the tighter radiuses now with the tighter radius piece of card. Then we start using a straight edge, and I'm laying in the stars of colour. So these are the spray lines, as it were, from each one of the stars on the fireworks. I've laid all them in colour first, and then gone over those all in white. So here in a close-up view, laying the here in a close-up view, laying all the colour spots in first, laying some radius lines in, and I use a straight edge there, overlay a bit of colour on the others, straight edge around the colours of the stars, overlay that with a quick spray in the middle to cover the lines up, put the tail in, put some fire in, and then we'll lay the white lines over the top of that to give us our nice bursts of light. So then I've got the lettering. It's hot, very hot. Now I've got to lay the lettering in. So I'm laying out some masking lines here to give me some heights and some lengths to work to. Right, so these are a low tack mask, cut for me by Keville Signs, Scunthorpe. Dead friendly chap, very willing to help with any of your needs that you have for vinyl cutting. So these are a low tack vinyl, so you can put these on. We have a bit of a struggle with the rough surface of the van, definitely more suited to a smoother polished surface, as would be the case on most of these normal spraying overlays. And we mask the area off there, as you can see. I'm sticking a base coat of white in, and then we're laying the gold metallic over the top of that. Now I have noticed with the gold metallic that it's quick to pull the mask off, or rather it's better to pull the mask off quickly. It has a bit of a tendency to sort of stick quite well to the vinyl for some reason, the other paints don't. Probably something to do with the fact I'm not really keying it up too much in between. I'm just sort of laying it over the top of the other colours. Obviously we don't want to be washing out our details and our fine sprays that we've got from the rest of the detail, so that does affect that slightly. And this is 65 times the speed, so you can see that this is quite a long drawn out process to get this level of accuracy into this with these masks and on a rough surface. Covering plenty of masking up, as you can see. Make sure we don't put any overspray over the rest of everything else that we've already got in there. We don't want to be doing that at this stage on the van. all nice and tidy. And we'll follow the same process as before. 2 coats of background white. There's actually 3 coats each time of the gold. I've only ever kept so many of them in for you guys to see because it's just the same stuff and it's a long enough video already. And again, I'm pulling the mask straight off. Whilst it's nice and wet, I get a nice crisp line up against the edge of the mask there. Set the rest of these vinyls to where we marked our lines out previously. Get them nice and centered on the back of the van. Strip the cover off, leave the mask behind. Mask up our area, make sure we're not covering everything else in overspray. Nice and steadily does it. And then it'll be the same again. 2 coats of background white, and then it'll be an overlay of 3 coats of the metallic gold flake. I think I actually let you see all 3 on this one because it was a bit of a shorter job. Pull the mask off, which I'll say is a bit risky because it's all wet, so if you happen to put your mask or you drop it, then yeah, you drop it onto wet paint and that's obviously going to be devastating at this point. Quick look around there in a rush. And then I'm going to set up using these acrylic markers to do the sort of outlining. I do all of this by hand, as you can see, which is quite a long process as well. And the knack that I'm having to do with this is to make sure I can still keep my hand in a comfortable position. So you'll see I'm working from the left across to the right rather than just following the line all the way around. And that's just allowing me to keep my hand in a smoother place and run at a more comfortable angle. And as you can tell, I'm working off of step ladders as well. Doesn't exactly make things easy. You'll notice, I can't remember where I actually left the edit in, but last time I was spraying this I had a nice little lift and that decided it was going to break on us on the day of finishing this off, so we didn't have much choice, we were running out of time. So I finished it all off with step ladders. And again, this is approximately 65 times the speed. So it is a very long process to get that nice handwritten, hand painted look, although it is sort of a bit of a cheat because I'm using a marker. And a marker doesn't like, for some reason, the really smooth surface of the metallic flakes. So I'm using the line of the edge of the gold, which you might see in a little bit more detail in a minute, to sort of use that as my marking line. I'm not actually covering both edges. So normally you try and overlap both edges so that you don't see any of the either colours that sort of come out. In this case I'm running it right up to the edge of the gold, which was a little bit more difficult as opposed to being able to follow a middle line. And this is actually one of the more difficult things. You'd have thought being able to be down on the floor, but the angle was quite weird, being able to see what you was doing. And the shock dog there keeping us company. So that's the outlines there. This side, a little bit of a skeg along as we go. Pretty happy with that for freehand straight lines. Looks pretty good to me. That nice scrolly lettering that we was aiming for. And this gold will deepen a lot more, and fireworks colour will deepen a lot more when it's all lacquered, but unfortunately due to time restraints you're not going to get to see that. So I'm working onto the front of the van now. I laid a few clouds in there in a couple of different blues, and then we're laying some more fireworks up on the top around our super flashy light. And that's the only yellow and orange firework which fits with the lens of the light, so that was why that was done. And the same process as before, as you can see, laid the colours in, laid the spots in, and we used the straight edge to lay the sort of explosions of colour and the explosions of white over the top. Now, to keep exchanging my straight edge here and wiping it down in between, you only get about 6 to 8 stars, and then your paint starts to build up on the edge of your straight edge. So you're actually spraying at the straight edge rather than at the actual the body of the van. And so you're basically catching a nice crisp line of overspray rather than actually painting direct to it. So I've laid the wheel in there on the side, a couple of mortars to sort of fire towards the fireworks that have been put on the van. And then we've got our lettering to go here across the bonnet. That's not a trick of your eyes, it is written backwards. And that way when we pull up behind you, you can see in your rear view mirror it actually reads the right way around, much like it is on the front of our ambulances here in the UK, possibly in other places around the world. Again, this is all 65 times speed, apart from this last letter, which I've given it a normal, I think it's only 300 times speed, to give you a bit better idea of what it takes to sort of undertake this and the level of concentration involved. And how you can see I'm keeping my palm side of my hand there to the dry paintwork line, so I'm not smudging any of my black in. And there's no cheating along these edges, they are drawn very straight, and you only get one try, as you can see. Quick pause here and there to make sure I get my head in the right place so I can see what's going on. All finished, apart from some lacquer. Fireworks on the top. Nice orange firework round our flashy light. Turn it into sky. We've got the wheel on the side. Into our fireworks. All the gold lettering. Overlaid with our firework sparkles. And a block letter for the name of the garage. Up on the top. For those that can't read the Old English, underneath. We've got another firework up on the back. It's a bit dark this side. We've got all the same up this side as well. All the hand pinstriping. And another wheel. There we go. The day's with the lacquer.
Job's a good one. Hope you enjoyed watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.